Oh, look at this. We got a 3-box today. It's Holden, it's Tyler, and it's Sean Fox. We're going to talk some more NFL draft. We've been doing this for about a month now. We'll be doing it right through the draft, and then we'll figure stuff to talk about with the NFL after that. But, gentlemen, good to be with you. Tyler, a lot of odds movement on this draft board, my friend. A lot of odds movement. Let's get right into it. Cam Ward's number 1, but I think Foxy nailed number 2. What are you thinking of number 2 right now?
Yeah, I think he's got it right. I mean, it looks like Travis Hunter. It looks like after that workout, they kind of just sat him down, had dinner, basically told him he's going to be the second pick. He went from, what did we see him at? Plus 750, plus 650, somewhere around there. Now he's minus 250. I hope he goes. Yeah. I hope he's got it right, judging by the odds. But this is the Browns we're talking about. We're really surprised any of us if they still walk up there and pick Carter.
Yeah, I never thought Carter was the thing. To me, Carter's the guy. Didn't make sense when I sat there and listened to talk. I think there was a whole lot of hoopla because Haslam had a dinner with Carter, even though he was going to have a dinner with every single guy that could possibly be the pick. And with the pro day scheduled for Friday, he just scheduled that Carter and Sanders would that Hunter and Sanders would have the same dinner. To me, that's kind of the bigger kind of the slap in the face for that aspect. But to me, it was always Hunter. I also got number 1 right if you actually looked back too, because I called that during the season. So there's a future prop that's out there. That's
what'd you get Cam Ward at?
I think we only got him. It wasn't a tremendous price, but I think it was plus 200 or something.
Wow.
Yep. I'll have to go back and look. But
so what do you think the Browns do at quarterback? They just going to go get Kirk Cousins?
There's a big rumor that basically that's the guy they're going to get, but if not, they're going to play Kyle Pickett. And I mean, that's probably the other guy that you're going to go with. But to me, it's really got to be Cousins. You're just going to take the one-time kind of cap hit. You're going to work out something with Atlanta where they take over some of that hit basically to get them off your books. And it's not going to really cost you anything. It's going to cost you maybe a 7th at best.
Now, is there any way either you think that the Browns do what Houston did a few years ago? Draft Hunter at 2. The Giants are kind of sitting at 3 with 2 quarterbacks already signed. They really don't need an edge rusher in Carter. What if they just trade with the Browns and the Browns pick 2 and 3 and take Hunter and Shador?
You'd have to give up so much to be able to get them. That's the question. What do you have to kind of give up to move back 2 picks is generally 2 first rounds. I can't see them doing that because the whole point was if this year sucks, we'd want to be number 1 to go ahead and grab Arch Manning, or I guess Nico would be the next guy if Manning doesn't come out. But yeah, I don't see them making that move to drop down. I do think that everybody wants to move down from all the insiders and the talk that I've heard and read and gone through, and some other conversations that I just won't name that are insider conversations. Everybody wants to move out. The issue is no one wants to move up. It is the major issue right now in this draft, where the Browns would love to drop down and still try to figure out a way to get Hunter, but it's probably not going to happen. The Giants would love to get out of 3, as like you said, they went and signed 2 free agent quarterbacks. Who does that, by the way?
Giants, because they want to draft Shador Sanders and make sure he has one guy that used to be a thief and one guy that's a man of God.
The only guy that basically you'd want that wants Sanders, and this is the one question I asked with the Giants, is who's making the pick? If it's Dabo and the GM, basically they want a guy who's going to possibly equal wins early. And guys who could equal wins early, and this is why I told people, take your shot, because I hear Ashton Genty is 100% in play at 3.
What?
Because I've told you that before. I've given you 100 to 1, 200 to 1. Throw some beer money on it. It's not a dead deal for them to take Ashton Genty at 3. The difference is, I like Jalen Carter a lot, but to me, Jalen Carter is an outside linebacker, and I don't draft an outside linebacker in the first 5 picks. I just don't. Because when you watch his tape, if anybody gets their hands on him, he's done. He doesn't have the size to put his hand in the dirt to go up against tackles every day. He's got a tremendous bend. He's got a tremendous outside. Maybe he's a third down guy who comes in and rushes the passer, but an everyday guy who's going to sit there and go through it in a division that's predicate on the run. I mean, you're basically going to say, well, teams are going to run to the left side.
All right. Well, listen, we got a lot to discuss here, and we could talk about Genty going to 3. We know Cam Ward's going to 1 to the Titans, so that's a done deal. Foxy, let me just go to you since you gave out the pick. Number 2 overall, we're doing our live betting show. Fox and I do live betting shows Wednesday, Thursday night, usually around 7 o'clock Eastern. I do a Tuesday night show with Maddie for baseball right around 8 o'clock Eastern. But on one of those shows with the NBA live betting show, you gave out Travis Hunter at number 2 at plus 650. This is probably about a month ago. And now we're sitting at minus 250. How'd you come up with that? What's the behind the scenes there?
Some things I can say and some things I can't. The reason I say that is really simply there's people and friends I have that are inside organizations. So there's things I hear and there's things I'm not for. So really looking at the thing, I got the sense that they didn't really love Sanders. And if you didn't really love Sanders, I didn't think they were drafting Carter. So,
all right. So it looks like Hunter's going to 2. So let's talk about this, Tyler. I want to get to you. I'll just use FanDuel, although really these numbers are all over the place. Like the number 3 pick for Abdul Carter going to the Giants right now, it's minus 175. Travis Hunter's plus 185. And then Shador is 6-1. And then you look over at FanDuel, Carter minus 180, Hunter plus 250, and Shador Sanders is only 4-1 here. What are you thinking with the number 3 pick with the Giants now? Because it's out there. Foxy brought up Genty. I think Shador Sanders has at least got to be in consideration. Abdul Carter's got to be there. What are you thinking at 3 right now? Because the Giants will be on the clock, and there's a lot of question marks.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to even think the Giants are going to make this pick. I mean, I know they said no one wants to move up in this draft, but the Giants don't need another edge rusher. They have Brian Burns they just paid on one side. I know Thibodeau hasn't really projected to be this elite prospect that they drafted him as. Still on his rookie deal, so I feel like they run that one out. I just don't see them drafting him that early. I like the call, maybe taking the shots on Genty and these guys. I don't think they draft an offensive lineman, even though they kind of need them. They want like an impact player. Why not take another shot on a guy like Will Johnson, who's supposed to be the first D-back off the board? They need secondary pieces. He's 150-1. Like, I don't hate taking long shots on that. I also think that the Giants might not even make this pick, and that's why Carter's still minus 180. See a team moving up, coming to get him. Like, if anybody's going to move up at that point, it's going to be to get a prospect like Carter.
Okay.
Yeah, that or you somehow basically the Saints give you a deal and you give them a cheaper deal to be able to move up. Because right now the Saints are the one team that is rumored basically if they would move up into that spot to go after Sanders. If he fell to there, that would be the one spot. But if the Saints are smart and they look at the board, there's no one else that's going to take Sanders. Anyway,
they have nothing to worry about.
They have nothing to worry about. They can just wait till 9 and not trade anything. You could convince New England because New England and Carter do make a lot of sense, especially with a guy who's a defensive-minded coach, wants a guy who can get after the pass rusher. In Vrabel, that would be the one guy that the move could be a slightly move back. And that would make more sense for the Giants. That's why if I was making a Giants bet, I would not bet at pick 3. I would go individual to the team bet and bet a position or bet a player to that Giants pick and make sure it doesn't say as the 3rd pick because there are draft things that say as the 3rd pick, Giants will select blah, blah, blah. And if you do that and they trade out, it's an automatic loss.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. So again, you had brought up Genty. I literally threw a coffee down on it at 150-1 at BetMGM. Yep. So that bet is in just for fun. But if you had to make the pick, who's at number 3? Talk to me, Fox. Who do the Giants take at 3?
I have a small bet at number 3 as Carter, but I don't think it's the Giants making the pick.
Okay. So we really aren't talking much Shedeur Sanders then for the top 3. Now, listen, being in Colorado, I know a bunch of guys that I know a couple of guys, one guy that used to play in the NFL, a couple of guys that cover the Buffs. They're all over this guy, Sanders. And some people were, he's double tapping the ball at his pro day. I don't think it matters, but why wouldn't the Giants take Shedeur Sanders at 3? I mean, they need a quarterback. They've got 2 veterans. They need to develop somebody. Talk to me here, Fox. Why aren't they taking Shedeur Sanders?
Here's the question. I think a lot of teams don't do this. And to me, actually passing on Sanders would be the smart move. You sign 2 free agent gaps because Sanders' actual rating as a draft prospect compared with all the future years is not elite. And if he's not elite, why are you taking him in the first round? You don't take a first rounder just because he's there. So if you have Archie Manning rated 100 times better than him, you have 2 other guys, even if it's not Manning, if you have Newsmeyer or you have Nico or you have whoever else, to me, the big, really dark horse next year in college football is Lenore Sellers, because Sellers is going to shoot up draft boards if he has another great year at South Carolina. If you have those guys rated ahead of Sanders, then by all means, you sign 2 free agent quarterbacks. You can play for that for the next 2 years. And you don't believe Sanders is that guy. And if he's not that guy, then there's no reason. Like me and Rich were really big on fact. Well, we talked about Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett was drafted. I think, Tyler, you were in this conversation as well. We talked about Kenny Pickett, to me, has a ceiling. He had a ceiling when you drafted him, is pretty much what it was in college. There wasn't much good that was going to happen that was going to get better than what he was, based on what you saw from his evidence there. He didn't have a lot of things that he's going to improve or get better at there. So I was like, you're drafting a guy at the high, with maybe he gets a little better, but he's not going to be anything really more than that, where that was a reach. And to me, some of these guys are reach. Cam Ward wasn't even considered a first-round pick last year. Goes to Miami, has a very good year, but there are a lot of things you can pick about Cam Ward's there. There was a lot of talk where Tennessee may not draft Cam Ward and just, we're going to suck again. But you really can't do that to your franchise to just say, we're just going to suck again and not draft a guy. So I understand that. And I think Sanders in one thing comes. I also think there's not a lot of quarterback needy teams. I count 6 teams that could draft a quarterback either as they need a guy, or might as well draft the heir apparent now, let him hold the clipboard for a year, 2 years, and then we've got another guy because we have an aging quarterback.
Hey, here we go at number 3, Tyler, and then I'm just going to give you straight up Shedeur Sanders odds, okay? But at number 3, Abdul Carter, again, -175. You'll get different numbers all over the place. Then it's Hunter, Shedeur Sanders 6-1, and on and on and on and on. You make the pick right now, and you got to bet this. Who are you taking at number 3? What are we paying?
I'd just lay the chalk on Carter. I just don't think it's the Giants making the pick.
Okay, so let's get into Shedeur then, because FanDuel has an absolutely dedicated Shedeur Sanders bet here. Team to draft Shedeur Sanders. Okay, what were you going to say? You were going to say something?
I was going to say the team to draft Shedeur Sanders is probably the Saints at +300. That's what I bet it at.
Where are you getting 300 at?
That's what I took it a couple days ago.
That's what you took it at. Okay, well, here's what it is right now. It's the Saints at +270, Giants 370. Might as well just bet them to take them with the 3rd pick at that point. Steelers 6-1, Browns 7-1, Jets 7-1, and then the Rams at 11-1. So, are you with Fox here, Tyler? Are you with Fox that he goes to the Saints? If you had to make that bet, where's he going?
I think you bet the Saints and the Steelers, and you walk away with profit.
Ooh, what do you think about going down that route, Fox? Saints and Steelers.
Well, we all know before we were on the show, I also said over 2.5 quarterbacks in the first round. I got that at plus money. It's now at negative money. But you could also basically take Jackson Dart over 24.5 as your hedge.
So you would just bet Jackson Dart over 24.5 at this point?
which I did. I bet the Steelers to draft a quarterback, and I took Jackson Dart over 24.5. And there's a small hedge. It was basically 165 for the over for over 24.5. And then the Steelers were, I think, 2.5 to 1. So either way, I'm going to walk away with the spread money.
No chance the Raiders draft him. Who?
I got a question for Fox. Just looking at next year's quarterback rankings, there's a lot of guys coming up. I'd say top 7 probably rank higher than a lot of these guys in this draft. Where do you rank Shador among these guys?
Well, that's the question. I'm not a big Shador Sanders fan. I say a lot of his touchdowns are 50-50 balls. I don't think he's really good at processing on the 5th. So he takes his 3-step or his 5-step drop. He doesn't process right away. He kind of waits for his guys to get open. He doesn't throw a lot of guys in college. He can kind of get away with that. But in the NFL, that's going to be a problem. People always say his mobility, but let's face it, he's not Scott Mitchell out there. Or Drew Bledsoe. He can move around the pocket. He's just not accustomed to. The Raiders have a chance to draft him. That's the one thing was Fathead was asking. I have pretty good information that there's another guy they want first, and it would be if he wasn't available, then that becomes a play. So to me, I hate to use the word locks, but the high guys that I'd be looking to draft, Mason Graham's going to the Jags. You could bookmark that. That's going to happen.
Yeah,
they're going to draft Mason Graham. The Raiders would love for Mason Graham to be there at 6, but he won't be there. Or at 7. I can't remember who's on the draft. But as far as next year, I'm not a big Nico guy. I am not really impressed with Nico. Grant Neusmeyer, I think he depends on what kind of year he puts up this year. I don't see him as really anything special. I love Lenore Sellers. I think he's going to be an absolute stud, and he's going to be the one kind of mobile quarterback the guys are going to really kind of question. Their Arch Manning, if he comes out, is pretty big. Obviously, you're going to have Carson Beck to see what kind of year. Does he have a similar year that Cameron Ward had at Miami, and vault him to the top? Guy no one talks about in this draft is Will Howard. I think teams can. There's a lot of guys that you can take towards the end of this draft at quarterback and probably still be fine as your heir apparent guy that could improve. So, yep. Would
you take Klubnik over Sanders?
Klubnik's going to be interesting because I have them in the college football playoff. I think Clemson is going to win the ACC. If you can put down that bet in any kind of parlay, that's 100% lock.
And then what about Sam Levitt?
I think Levitt's going to need another year. I mean, yes, he had some good years, but is he? He reminds me a lot of some of the old Alabama quarterbacks. Craig Krenzel. Sorry, that's Ohio State. Who's the other guy? AJ McCarron.
Craig Krenzel. There's a blast from the past. I haven't heard that name in a while.
AJ McCarron. Those type guys who you can make a play in a game because they're a gamer, but is that really the guy that you're going to draft as a top end quarterback? And I don't see it. I know the team did well. I know he had his tremendous aspect there with Tyler at wide receiver, but it's going to be interesting. They're going to lose some pieces. They're going to lose Scatabo. The offense should be more based around him. So let's kind of see what he does next year before we have him. But he is a guy that's listed up there. Yes. Yep. I'm
just odd shopping here. So number 4 pick would be New England, and Will Campbell is the overwhelming favorite to get picked at plus 135.
Well, that's interesting.
BetMGM. Let's talk about him because offensive lineman minus 155, edge rusher plus 185, cornerback 850, wide receiver 1400, tight end 60 to 1. I mean, yeah, let's talk about 4. I think the Patriots are interesting.
Well, I think the Patriots are the one team that could come out and go get Jalen Carter because they would rather have Jalen Carter than the 2 offensive linemen. From what I see, what I read, what I'm looking at that team, that's what they would rather have. Vrabel hasn't really picked offensive linemen early in his stints. If you would have taken that table and put it last week, Memboa would have been the number 1 guy on that list and would have been by far. Campbell's picked up a lot of steam. Campbell's 3 to 1 last week to be picked by the Patriots. So now he's the favorite at minus 120. There's got to be a lot of rumblings and grumblings on that. it's probably faced better competition. He didn't really have a great year, though, especially when you look at LSU, how he kept on going, oh, they got 2 All-American offensive linemen and they can't run the ball. They had to go to the third back before they were able to actually run the ball this year. So I would, if I was betting that, I would just bet the offensive lineman at minus 155 because I'm not really sure it's going to be Mamboa or Campbell. But again, they would be the one team I think that would love to trade to 3.
All right, so we got Fathead talking about Shedeur Sanders. No chance the Raiders draft him. What's the chances, guys? Like, really, at this point, what's the chances that the Raiders actually go out and decide to take this kid?
He's not the highest quarterback ranked on their board.
Okay, simple as that. That's the first thing.
I think them paying Geno a couple days ago signifies that he's their guy for the next couple of years.
Okay. Well, there's another good point. Saints should have given Peyton a lifetime contract. Yeah, absolutely, Tim. Sean Payton's a great coach. No question. And yeah, Sean Payton deserved, the first year. Actually, the first 2 years. This past year was ahead of schedule, I think, for them. I thought they'd be good. I didn't think they'd make the playoffs, but let's just look at this then. Cleveland, at this point, we got Hunter at plus 650 from Fox. We're going with that. A sprinkle on Genty at the Giants. But Tyler, who's your pick at the Giants?
If it's pick overall 3,
and they're there. Carter. It's Carter at 3. Yeah. Okay. 4 we really don't know about. We were just talking about number 4 and the Patriots. And then Foxy, I got to go out and bet Mason Graham to go to Jacksonville now.
Yeah, if you can get a good number on it, but I believe that's ship is safe.
That pick makes a lot of sense. Like that Mason Graham thing, that's going to happen. Unless they just veer way off path, that should be an easy one.
It's minus 155 at this point, so I don't want to bet it. I don't want to bet it.
They took it, and DraftKings took out the ability to parlay.
Oh, and it's minus 140 at DraftKings, so it's a better number. But yeah, they took out. Shop around, everybody, and you almost have to do it old school. I don't have. Unabated's great for lines. I don't have a NFL
Jacksonville's position of player drafted defensive line edge minus 115 on BetMGM. There you go.
Yep.
Defensive line edge on MGM. All right. Thank you for finding that for me, Tyler. I appreciate that. And then ultimately it comes down to the Raiders then, right? So it could be Genty. We don't think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. So if Sanders starts dropping, Tyler, where does Shedeur Sanders land? Is it possible he drops out of the top 10? Because I think there's prop bets for that.
I think it's possible. If he doesn't go 9 to the Saints, there's going to be no other team that comes up to get him. The Steelers are just going to sit there and wait at 21. So if the Saints want to go get, say, Tyler Warren or one of these guys, or somebody slips in the draft that they like, and they don't pick Sanders, he's falling out of the top 10.
Yeah, that's why his line's 9.5. It's most of the time you set up something right before the team that's expected to take you. So his line is under 9.5. So if you take the under 9.5, you're assuming the Saints or someone else is going to come grab him. If you take the over, then yeah, you're just assuming he's going to fall out of the top 10.
All right, guys, let's get out of here and give a best bet before we do so. All right. And again, if you go back and you do total quarterbacks drafted in the first round, over 2.5 is dead. Fox got a great number on that. If you think Jackson Dart falls out, then by all means bet the under at plus 240. I don't see it happening. He gave out the 100 at plus 650. That's gone. One bet that's still in play here, even if it's for a little worse juice. Fox.
I got to see what's on the board.
All right, Tyler, you go, and we'll let Fox go through. He's a volume better. He's probably got 6,000 bets he's got to go through. What do you got, Tyler?
I'm taking that last one we just gave out. Jacksonville to draft a defensive lineman or an edge with their first pick, minus 115.
Jacksonville, D-line or edge at plus 115?
Minus 115.
Minus 115, and that's at BetMGM.
Yep.
Okay.
Give me 1 second here as I pull up.
And then we'll get to Fox. Yeah, so – I mean, the whole thing that would screw everything up is if Shedeur Sanders went top 3. And then everybody's drafts it would just get absolutely crazy at that point. I don't see it happening, but if it does happen, draft night's going to be crazy. We will be doing a live draft betting show. There are live odds that you can bet. So make sure you hang out here, Nuke the House. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the Nuke the House YouTube channel. If you have not checked us out for a free week, you can do that as well. Now we're $59.99 a month, $19.99 a week, but we'll give you a free week if you haven't used it. Go to nukethehouse.com, sign up for any plan. We won't charge you after that week unless you want to be charged, but the code is NASCAR is back. So sign up for any plan. Use the code NASCAR is back, and you're there. Hit the like button. And Fox, this is your last chance, buddy. What do you got for us? Anything?
Yeah, I'll give you something. I like what I gave the other day, but I mean, it's kind of moved up again. The Mike Green under 17.5. I think he gets picked right around 12 or 13. The second one I would take, it would be Mikel Williams under 15.5, because as soon as Green goes, Mikel's going to go. I know some people have Mikel as the highest rated defensive end on their board that I have. And then I would give, and I was trying to look at the team total for draft team specials here for real quick. In the AFC North, I would see if it's still there. I would take the Steelers to draft a quarterback at 3-1.
What book?
DraftKings.
Steelers QB at 3. All right, I got a lot of bets to make. Here's the bets I got to make from listening to you guys. So I got to get Jacksonville defensive lineman edge rusher at MGM at -115. Jackson Dart over 24.5. Right? Jackson Dart over 24.5 draft position. And then Mike Green under 17.5. Steelers quarterback 3-1. Saint Shador Sanders plus 270. So that would be a FanDuel. We got a lot of bets, and we got one more of these shows actually next week and then the week after. So we got 2 more shows until the draft, and then it's happening. Foxy, thanks for hanging out with us today. We appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Tyler, as always, my friend, you take care of yourself. Check out the NBA rundown. We got another rundown coming up.
Yeah, we got it in about 2 minutes. So
all right
after this one.
All right. Usually by 4:30 Eastern time, NBA rundown is there. Spread, Tyler, break down every game in the NBA. My name's Holden. Thanks for checking us out here at Nuke the House.